Hello everyone and welcome back to another book review. Today I am reviewing another entry in the manga series that I have been reading and loving, Haikyuu by Haruichi Furudate. I am on volume 30 of this series. I have been reading it, I have been loving it, and I want to discuss my thoughts on volume 30. First off, if you're not familiar with Haikyuu and you don't want to be spoiled, I would recommend either one, going back to the beginning of my reviews and watching my reviews of all the previous volumes. They're all on my channel, or otherwise, of course, reading the books yourself so you have your own opinion and can make your own decisions and not just have me informing your opinions. But let's talk volume 30. I'm going to assume you have some familiarity with the story up to this point in this review. Just wanted to give you a fair warning before we dive in. So the team that we've been following, Karasuno High School, has punched their ticket to spring tournament. They are in Tokyo and they are playing their games. They are trying their best to overcome one of the toughest opponents in this entire tournament, and that is Inarizaki. Inarizaki is very difficult to beat because they have their own little secret weapon. Up to this point, Karasuno High School has had this secret weapon that they can pull out of their back pocket when they need to, and that is Kageyama and Hinata, this freakishly quick attack that they can do where Kageyama sets the ball to Hinata, and in this perfect joining of synergies, Hinata can just attack very, very hard. Hinata's also energy contributes something to the core, and overall Karasuno has been very lucky with this pairing that they have gotten, and they've also worked hard to develop this pairing as well. We can't discount the hard work that they've put in. However, Karasuno has now been playing against one of the top prospects in the spring tournament, Inarizaki High School, and they have two twins, that is the definition of twins, two, who also have this dynamic, who have this ability to work with each other very well, maybe because they're twins. I'm not really sure. I'm not a twin myself, so I don't know how close that connection is, but I've heard it can be quite close. They're able to really feed off each other and play these quick attacks the same way that Kageyama and Hinata can, and that leads to Karasuno kind of being like a step behind Inarizaki High School throughout this entire game. The whole first set was not going very, very well, but at the very end of volume 29, Karasuno was able to claw themselves ahead of Inarizaki High School and claw themselves ahead as in they were able to take the lead of the first set. Now that we're in the spring tournament, these games are taking longer and longer and longer because, of course, the author wants to kind of capitalize on this tension that he's been building towards. That's what I assume. So we're now in volume 30. Karasuno is still fighting in Inarizaki High School. However, we take an interlude to see another team. So there's two things I wanted to discuss from volume 30. The first is this interlude with this other team, and the second is another character background growth story aspect that takes place in this volume. So Nekoma, Nekoma High School has been somewhat of a rival for Karasuno, and they're hoping to pair up at some point during this tournament, but Nekoma needs to win their tournament, or not tournament, they need to win their game so they can get further in the tournament. This is a team that Karasuno has played before, they know the players for them, and as a result, they're very eager to face against one another. They're very, very interested in doing that. They're playing against, I'm reading the back of the book to make sure I get this name right, Sarukawa Tech, and this is another very, very difficult game. And I think this goes to show that these teams that we know to be very, very good, maybe Karasuno struggled against in the past, are not the only good teams in Japan, because if Nekoma, which is Nekoma, don't know if I'm saying that correctly, they were a very good team, and now they're playing against another good team and they're struggling to keep ahead. I think it's really interesting to see them playing against other teams. I think it's interesting that in this tournament, Haruichi Furudate, the author, is taking time to pull in these other teams, these other characters that we've gotten to know, and he's built this world, and now it's kind of paying off. He's integrating all these characters that we've seen in the previous 30 volumes or the previous 29 volumes, and he's weaving them into the story, which I really like. And this is kind of, I think, his big chance to show off all this work that he's done, that he's put into building this world, these teams, these characters. So of course he wants to do it. So that is just a fair warning for volume 30. I didn't mind it. I liked the break. It was kind of tense and stressful knowing that we weren't entirely focusing on Karasuno this entire time, but we're also getting to spend a lot of time with these other characters that we've known, and also knowing that the outcome of that game is going to affect Karasuno's kind of trajectory if Karasuno can make it through their game. It's not a guarantee. So there's a big focus on this other game that's going on at the same time in volume 30. The other thing that happens in volume 30, or not happens, but there's a lot of page time, I guess, for, is discussing Tanaka. Tanaka is a character on the team who is kind of just steady. He's there, he's steady, he's reliable, he's dependable, but he's not really I wouldn't say he's like a prodigy or a standout star. However, here he is right here. I wanted to find him. However, I think this book does a really good job, or this volume in the series does a really good job of highlighting his strengths, the way that he contributes positively to the team, and just, yeah, kind of gives a spotlight and a little bit of a nod to Tanaka's reliability and his willingness to show up and his willingness to do his part, and also some of the things that maybe he's struggled with. He's a character that has gotten a lot of page time, I would say. He definitely is an integral part of the team. So he's been there, we've seen him before, but now he's kind of getting his own say in his own story, which I really appreciated and I liked. And I felt like that also balanced well with the fact that we were focusing on this other team. We still got to spend some time with Karasuno, their characters, and their backgrounds, which I really enjoyed. Overall, I liked Volume 30. If you've been reading the series, liked everything up to here, I think you're definitely going to like Volume 30. I would say that people who maybe are only here for the Karasuno High School team, they don't really care about these other teams, they may be a little less enthused by this volume due to the shift in focus, but I liked it. I like the change of pace. I like the way that we were looking at all these other players and characters, so I didn't mind it. I just can see how someone else who might be reading the series with a different preference may have reached a different conclusion than me. I liked Volume 30. Plan to keep reading the series. I think the series ends at Volume 40, so we only have 10 more to go, which is kind of sad and crazy that I've read this many volumes, but also that it's coming up to the end. I'm excited to see how far Karasuno High School goes and what these characters are able to do. I'm sure it's going to be a very emotional next 10 volumes, and I am so excited. If you have any thoughts, comments, opinions on this series, please let me know. This series up to this point, please let me know. I would love to hear it. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.